In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you details of a stock which could be a game changer for heart failure, as well as a 689% potential upside, and also 6 catalysts, some of them potentially imminent. And for MMTLP, we're going to be looking at the $9,998 per share evidence to be used in potential resolution. So before we get started, let's have a look at what's happening in the market. So first of all, we can see from Yahoo Finance, the stock market today, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are paced for record close as of the Fed rate cuts are betting for a potential cut, and that is after the CPI report, which was extremely positive. So from Reuters, we can also see the Nasdaq is at a record high, and inflation did rise moderately in July and was much better than expected. So what Peter Tuchman has stated is the September rate cut climb is now at a percentage of 82.5% following this CPI report. So great news there for the markets, also great news for crypto, and we can see Bitcoin has neared an all-time high following Trump's 401k announcement, and I also know that Ethereum was up quite significantly today, well above the $4,000 mark. So finally, I'd like to share with you some details from our top rank channel, top ranked stocks DD channel in the Discord. We've covered stocks such as APP, DUOL, LEU, which is extremely bullish. We also shared details on QBTS, IONQ recently, and I've just added a DD report for a gold related stock which is up over 100% on the year. It's a dividend paying stock and available for download, so details are available in description below, as well as that more than 30 other reports. Let's have a look at the stock which could be a huge game changer for heart disease with a potential 689% upside, as well as 6 catalysts that I'm going to share with you shortly. This is ticker symbol CRDL, trading on the Nasdaq, also known as Cardiol Therapeutics. So in terms of company profile, this is a clinical stage sciences company. It focuses on the development of antifibrotic and anti-inflammatory therapies for the treatment of heart diseases. So in recent news there, we can see there was a presentation earlier yesterday. There was also news with regard to top-line results from the phase 2 Archer trial, which we're going to look at, and also other positive news. So let's start by having a look at what happened in terms of the chart and trading today. It was up at time of editing over 9.7%. So it is a small cap, trading at $1.13. So we can also see it's rated from the analyst as a strong buy, a market cap of 83.92 million. So any news on this could certainly get this running strongly. Analysts have rated it as a strong buy, so we're going to look at that details of that shortly as well. So what I'd now like to do is share some details from the insider financial due diligence research, and we can see here they've stated that the company is a lead molecule drug candidate for Cardiol RX, which is trademarked, and this is an oral solution which is pharmaceutically manufactured in clinical development for the treatment of heart disease. We know heart disease is a huge significant problem worldwide, especially in the developed world, and the US FDA has granted this orphan drug designation, and this is for the treatment of pericarditis, which includes recurrent pericarditis as well. So in terms of what the investors like myself and yourself will be looking for is what is the potential upside. So we're looking at average analyst target of $9.50. So we'll look at that more in more detail shortly as well. But let's have a look at information from the investor presentation, which was also just shared in the presentation, and they state here they are focusing on advanced therapies for that target inflammation in the heart, and I think this is a huge problem worldwide and not really dealt with significantly. So they have a late stage pipeline. We're going to look at that. They also have an initial market opportunity, and this is forecast to grow by $1 billion to $1 billion by 2028, currently worth $500 million. Validated target in terms of progression of several cardiac diseases. They have world-class collaborations and long-standing relationships with world-renowned researchers, and they also have near-time value drivers, and I'm going to be sharing with you some important near-time catalysts as well. So let's now have a look at some of this intense and detailed research from Insider Financial, and you can see here they are looking at research into conditions such as pericarditis and myocarditis, and have begun to yield some promising data. So this is certainly positive, and this is to help patients with undeserved heart diseases, which is a very, very significant problem. So behind the developments, the life sciences company is committed to addressing some of the most pressing challenges in heart health. So in terms of the company, they're focusing on anti-inflammatory and anti-fibrotic therapies for the treatment of heart disease, and the company have received investigational new drug application authorization from the FDA. So this is positive, and this is to conduct clinical studies to evaluate the efficacy and safety of Cardiol Rx, again trademark, and this is looking at 2 diseases that affect the heart. In terms of the FDA, the treatment is for Cardiol Rx is for the treatment of pericarditis, which includes recurrent pericarditis as well. Let's have a look at details of the Maverick Phase 2 trial. This is a trial designed to demonstrate the impact of Let's now look at details of the Maverick Phase 2 trial. This is a trial designed to demonstrate the impact of Cardiol Rx on pericarditis and the recurrence in a high-risk patient population. So in terms of the disease, it's the most common form of a disease with prevalence of 160,000 just in the United States, and also 15 to 30% of people or patients experience a recurrence. So it is quite a significant problem. In terms of the program for recurrence pericarditis, it's in 2 parts. So the first is the Phase 2 study, and that is already completed with exceptionally positive results. The second, now we're in Phase 3, and it's still enrolling patients. The global study will show if Cardiol Rx can stop the disease from coming back in high-risk patients, and also get it approved by the regulators, and specifically obviously the FDA. So in terms of the company, they announced top-line results from the Phase 2 Archer trial. That has now led to the Phase 3, and this was certainly positive, and it had a change in the primary endpoint of left ventricular LV extracellular volume ECV, and this showed a notable improvement over the placebo. So that's positive. There was also a reduction in the ECV, and this was associated with improvements. The Archer trial resulted in compelling clinical proof for the concept of Cardiol Rx, and this is now strongly supporting the clinical development of Cardiol Rx CRD38 with regard to heart failure and myocarditis. The Archer results have been submitted for the presentation in the upcoming scientific meetings, and will also be submitted for publication. So certainly very, very promising. And if we have a look at details of heart failure from the report, we can see this is affecting approximately 64 million people globally, and also associated with healthcare costs in excess of $30 billion annually just in the United States alone. So a huge financial problem as well for the healthcare sector. So CRD38 is Cardiol's new administered drug formulation for heart failure, and they are doing the prep work needed before starting the clinical trials to see if it can become a new treatment option, which I certainly think so far it looks extremely promising. In terms of the therapeutic development of Cardiol X, this is an oral treatment. It's looking at development for the serious heart diseases, and it also works by blocking inflammation pathways, including the NLRP3 inflammasome, and which is obviously a key driver of inflammation. And in terms of the clinical trials, it has continued to show a high profile that it is safe and well tolerated with no serious side effects, and that's one of the things that the FDA will be looking at intensely. In terms of the strong safety results, these have helped Cardiol in FDA approvals, especially with the Phase 2, and also going to be promising in the Phase 3 trials, especially with regard to rare heart conditions. So the FDA have also granted orphan drug designation (ODD) for Cardiol Rx, and now as far as investor point of view, if we look at the analyst ratings, what we can see here in terms of potential upside, they're based on short-term price targets by 4 analysts. The average price target for the company was $9.50, and the range was a low of $8 to a high of $11. So a huge potential upside there. And if we have a look at the recommended trends, we can see all of the analysts have rated this as either as a strong buy or a buy, and nobody rated it as a sell. And what we can see in terms of the company, especially with regard to the enrollment. They have now enrolled the first patient in the pivotal phase 3 Maverick trial in recurrent pericarditis, and this is designed to assess the impact of Cardiol RX on preventing episodes of recurrent pericarditis. It's based on the successful phase 2 that we've just seen, and the company believes that the results from Maverick will support a new drug application. So data from the phase 2 showed that the patients treated with the Cardiol RX experienced marked and rapid reduction in pericarditis pain and inflammation, and it has been granted the US FDA orphan drug designation for this indication that we've just seen. So in terms of what happened today, there was a fireside chat at the Canaccord Genuity's 45th Annual Growth Conference in Boston. That was at 9:30 a.m. ED time, and what I would also urge you to do is go ahead and check an interview with the CEO of Cardiol on the Deep Dive YouTube channel, which has just been released with the title A Medical Breakthrough, the Market Overlooked, and specifically focusing on heart disease. Let's have a look at the catalysts on deck for the near term, and we can see Archer phase 2 top line results in the third quarter of 2025 are potentially days away and also potentially imminent. The Maverick phase 3 enrollment milestone through the second half of 2025 and the first half of 2026 is currently underway, and positive news on that is hopefully to be expected. So the potential orphan drug designation for myocarditis in both the US and EU is on the cards. IND filing for CRD38 in heart failure we've also seen in the pipeline. So the pipeline has got multiple shots on goal, anchored by validated science and a serious unmet global need. So why are we looking at this potential stock now? They've reached a key milestone, especially with the phase 2. They are enrolling to the Maverick phase 3 trial, which I think it could be huge, especially worldwide. The phase 2 trial provided compelling and clinical proof for the concept of Cardiol RX. So we're looking at potentially 6 million adults in the US alone suffering from the devastating disease, a $40 billion per year spent on treating heart failure, and the company believes it could be offering a safe and more targeted approach for millions of people. So not only in the US, I think this will be helpful for the worldwide problem of heart disease as well. And analysts we've seen have issued price targets with in excess of a 600% upside, around $10. And finally, what's the bottom line? So the phase 2 clinical top line data has been reported. The trials are targeting billions of dollars in market where treatment gaps are wide open, and Archer top line results we've seen are positive, and that is showing a potential proof of concept. So as far as traders are concerned, look at biotech catalyst where the momentum often begins, and these stocks can certainly shoot up, especially with small caps, which is what CRDL is, and additional updates are expected in the coming weeks. We've seen the presentation earlier today, the planned scientific presentation. Enrollment is continuing with further clinical milestones through 2025 and 2026. So certainly I think this is one of the stocks that you can focus on the next day of trading. CRDL trading on the Nasdaq, and one I think you can certainly add to your watch list. Let's have a look at the latest developments for MMTLP. So first shout out here to Busy Brand, who's dealing with one of the rumours with regard to Greg McCabe at NextBridge Hydrocarbons, where a person by the name of Jeff Davies from Energy OG, as he describes himself, stated that Greg McCabe has quit. And what Busy has stated is, in terms of Greg McCabe, he has squashed this rumour, and one of the ways he's done that is by reaching out to Greg McCabe, and Greg has stated, "Nobody told me that I quit. I guess I should follow social media," so I think it's fairly safe to say he has not quit. So let's move on to look at proof being asked right now in terms of sell limit orders with regard to MMTLP. So what Timeless Tim has stated is more timestamps and information from E-Trade in the screenshots attached for the 12th of the 12th, and he's saying here you can compare a sell order for $150,000 per share and also one for $250,000 per share with a TLTC, which is too late to cancel order. And again, I think he's had identified all of this onto a screenshot. And what Tim goes on to say here, he states here, if you can get E-Trade to search capability back, you can send the actual screenshots of the order and the timestamps with regard to the information on the Excel. But he also states here there was an order 710 for $505 per share, and order 711 was also for $911 per share. So it looks like all of these went through. And the final shout out here is the champion NBH, who's also providing information with regard to these too late to cancel orders which are now being requested. And he states here the scandal they can't explain and they won't investigate and they will not potentially be able to hide. And he states here in terms of discovering the truth, he states here no more hiding. He's sharing here a $9,998 evidence for an order for 1,000 shares MMTLP too late to cancel. So let's see if this can all build up and provide that evidence that everybody needs for resolution. And finally, if you'd like to join us in a Discord, get a copy of the weekly watch list as well as the daily stock alerts. Details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.